Thank you, Mr. Chair. All of you, thanks for being here. Representative Donalds, thank you for bringing this together. I think all of us on this panel experience natural disasters at one time or another. And so while I know that this hearing is very centric to South Florida, it will have implications for us around the country. So thank you for helping convene us. Mr. McCool, just real quick, Mr. Donalds had asked a question about regulations that might need to be looked at, and you said you'd get back to us in 2 weeks. This panel is certainly amenable to that. I'm just curious, why would you not have those answers available today? Why would it take 2 weeks to pull those together?
Sir, I've been laser focused on Hurricane Ian for the last year, and prior to that, I'm a field person that manages the response to and recovery from disasters.
And I understand that. With all due respect, because you've been dealing with that
right.
for, let's say, the last 10 months, it seems to me like some of those would be top of mind, and I just find that very curious that you would need to say you needed 2 weeks to pull that together. And because I've got limited time and I want Mr. Donalds to have as much time as possible, I'll move on to my next question. All of you had mentioned that, and I think we all agree, every disaster is different, but it seems like there are an awful lot of similarities. Hard winds come through, buildings get destroyed, houses get destroyed, businesses get closed, streets get flooded, utilities go out. I mean, there's a lot of similarities that should not catch us by surprise. And so I'm just curious, after hearing you say or remind us that every disaster is different, how would you say that this disaster has been different than others that you have dealt with in the past? And I'd appreciate an answer from each of you. Ms. McFadden, we'll start down here.
I would just highlight the coastal nature, the impact of so many folks living along the water and close to waterways. So in terms of thinking about resilience going forward, we need to be thinking about building up and thinking about elevation standards because it seems impracticable to try to move people very far away from the coast.
All right, thank you. And so that strikes me by surprise because there's coastal nature, it appears to me, with most every hurricane that we experience. Mr. Sanchez, how is this disaster different than those you've seen in the past?
Congressman, I appreciate your point. I think there are some similarities. I think we come in from a local perspective with some humility. You see one hurricane, you've seen one hurricane, but there are some similarities across that. And one of the things we continue to see across the board is we have more disasters, 18 separate billion-dollar disasters last year, 7 this year. Unfortunately, we'll probably break that record. Is we have an expectation from our constituents that we improve the sequence and that we better and quicker at delivering those resources. And how we bring in from our SBA, for example, our whole of SBA to that to be able to meet those growing needs. And so for us, I think one of the things that's been exciting is bringing the whole of SBA approach. We see here in this community some of the challenges on the coast where I come from is how do we also move recovery and tying that to resilience as someone is rebuilding. We're starting hurricane season now, so we want to make sure they're more resilient for the storms ahead as well.
Thank you. And so in the interest of time, I'm going to move on. I'll let you off the hook, Mr. McCool. I'm going to move on to my next question. Is there a regular process after a disaster like this where multiple agencies drop back after the fact and talk with one another to do a formal after-action review? I mean, it obviously requires a lot of coordination between multiple agencies. I'm just wondering, is there a formal process in place for you to do that? And if so, has that taken place yet after this disaster? Mr. McCool, we'll start down here.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the question. We currently have 7 other federal agencies in our JFO right now. So we have, and they're focused on the long-term recovery. Matter of fact, we are doing a pilot program with SBA. We have 20 SBA staff looking at the long-term recovery for this disaster, which was which was catastrophic. So yes, of the 4,000 staff from the FEMA side that were deployed, each of them have formal AAR processes and lessons learned that they do. And we coordinate with our other federal agencies.
And is there a report provided to Congress or some other entity after this review is completed?
Our report is forwarded to headquarters. I'll have to get back to you to see if it's sent to Congress, sir.
All right, thank you. I'd like to ask one more question real quick, because this has implication to us in the mountains of western North Carolina, where one of the most recent disasters for us was complicated by what has been described to me as a overcomplicated application process. Is there anything? Have any of you heard that before? And is there anything being done to streamline the application process? Mr. McCool, probably you would be most appropriate to answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've heard that. One of our administrators' goals, top priority, is to reduce paperwork and streamline the application process for survivors so they have access to our programs. We use disaster survivor assistance teams. Matter of fact, we had 657 of them here for Hurricane Ian. But in rural areas like you are, disaster, and they have iPads, tablets, and they're able to go house to house to register survivors on the FEMA side. We also have mobile emergency response vehicles that will be able to set up in parking lots, and they're mobile and they have satellite capabilities.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the latitude to go a bit over. I'll yield. Thank you.